This show features adults using adult language. You have been warned.
This is Hammer... Oh, fuck you. Fuck you in the cow ass, sir.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Nice. I both love you and hate you right now. This is HammerCast, episode 12. Fuck you. That's it.
Sorry.
I'm out.
We had chili
you.
for dinner last night.
This is HammerCast, episode 20, bringing you your weekly news and discussion about the world of games, smashing buttons, clicking mice, shuffling cards, and rolling dice. Today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2015. My name is Duane Sibley, and I am joined by your hosts, Todd Chartier and Mr. Joe Hollis. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, not doing too bad. Not doing too bad.
So we had a little 2-week hiatus, one of which was because we were busy with other things, namely the jobs that pay the bills, and the other was because of our annual get-together, OMG WTF BBQ, our annual
East.
cookout. Yes, OMG WTF BBQ East 2015. A whole bunch of hammers from around the country drive, fly, swim, and train themselves in so that we can get together and have one hell of a cookout.
Well, it's really just a drunken booze fest. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a drunken booze fest with lots and lots and lots of pork product.
Yeah, we'll even see if maybe we can get some pictures up at some point.
Bacon
That would be
explosion.
awesome. So, Hammers, if you're listening, if you have any pictures from this year's OMG WTF BBQ East, please put them up on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/HammerCastFM. And we'll make sure they make it into next week's show notes. What have you guys been playing?
Actually, before we move on to playing, there was a tragic accident at the barbecue that I think we need to have a moment of silence for. Someone who shall be unnamed but knows who that person is dropped a whole plate of bacon explosion. Okay, that's enough of that. Moving on.
Okay. Was that a sufficient moment of silence?
I think it was.
Okay. Damn you, whoever you are. And you know who you are. What have you guys been playing?
I've been playing Ride the Airplane, personally.
I hear that's a fun game.
It's
expensive, though.
Not a fun game.
It's definitely one of those pay-to-play kind of games.
Yeah, pay to pay, more like it. When you're in my situation and you're flying, every flight is 6 hours, regardless of where I'm going, because I only ever go east. It's not all that fun. So I spent a lot of time working and traveling lately, and one of which was to the barbecue. That was a lot of fun. Had a good time doing that. But our flight home was not exciting, and I have not actually had time to play any games for the last, 12 or 13 days. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Joe, what have you been playing?
Well, before you left, we started our Let's Play of Magicka, so we have been playing
Which is
that.
hilarious, by the way.
Thank you.
We're
Other
glad you
than
like
that,
it.
I played a little bit of Starbound. I played a little bit of the co-op Portal 2, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, the Magicka playthrough, I think we got 5 episodes in. We're going to set up another recording session and see if we can get another 5 in the can within the next few days. So I know it's a little bit of work for Joe to record, do the editing on it, but we'll see if we can get that out by maybe the end of the weekend or something.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. What the heck have I been playing?
Good question.
Well, week before this week, I was very busy, just like Todd, with work. Not as much travel, but lots of work, so I did not play much of anything. This past week, I have been playing Destiny and some board games. I had a couple of hammers over as guests last week for the barbecue. We had both Line Freeze and C Mayolo on Twitter over for part of the weekend, and we played Seven Wonders and we played Coup, and we almost got around to playing this really interesting game about programming called 101, but we didn't get around to it. Oh, also, speaking of what we've been playing in gaming news, we picked up a Wii U this week. And we got the Splatoon bundle, and we've been playing the hell out of it, and it's a lot of fun.
If that bundle, if the actual console isn't like covered in crazy colored paint, I'd be really disappointed. Am I disappointed?
It's solid black, but I'm
that
sure
color isn't
someone
even
out there,
in Splatoon.
No, there is no black ink.
No, there's no white ink either.
Nope. Everything's calibrated so that, if you're colorblind, you can still make out the difference between the two inks on screen.
Everything is awesome.
So you know what game I have wanted to try, tabletop-wise, is Epic Spell Wars 2? Have you heard about that?
I have not heard of that one.
Epic Spell Wars. I think 2 might just be a revised edition of it, but it looks pretty fun. Whoop, we lost Todd.
And Todd's walking away from the screen. Does he have Epic Spell Wars 2? Is he bringing it over to the camera? Todd, what are you doing? He doesn't even have his headset on. Yes, what was that about?
So I bought a game. Actually, I bought it for you for Christmas, and never sent it because we decided to get you something else. But that I still have not had a chance to play.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring it out east at some point.
Okay.
I picked this up. I don't know if that's coming in the frame or not.
Let's
I can't see.
It looks like Mattis Cotri's Alchemist.
Yes, it was very highly rated as an up-and-coming game in the fall. It took me 3 months to finally get it. And supposedly there's like an app that goes, like a companion app that goes with it. I don't know if you need it to play or not, but I don't know. This game's been getting great reviews. It's still sealed in its plastic. I haven't even had a chance to touch it.
A lot of these games, Seven Wonders does the same thing as well, and as does Munchkin. They have these companion apps that go along with it that make it easier to like keep score and stuff like that, but they're not required for playing the game. That would be interesting to open up and take a look at, though.
Yeah, I never really fit it in my luggage to bring it back. I don't want it to get smushed.
Right. If anyone out there has played Alchemists, hit us up on Twitter and let us know how that game is.
So Epic Spell Wars 2 is basically you draw a bunch of random cards. You get a beginning, middle, and end to your spell that you build randomly, and they have different effects on them. They affect each other differently. And you just want to make the biggest, baddest spell, kill all of the other wizards, or whatever you end up being. Everybody has their own unique characters, and I think 2 added some different rules with kind of a King of the Hill kind of feature in it, but I think Tabletop on Geek and Sundry did a play of it, so I would definitely check that out because it looks pretty fun, and I recently saw somebody playing it on a tabletop game. Mm-hmm. It was like a virtual tabletop, but they were playing the full game on it, so I'd be interested in looking into that to play tabletop games from home instead of because we could probably play those more often than an organized game night at any rate.
Right.
It sounds kind of like Magica, the board game.
Kinda, yeah.
Which
I could see
was
that.
A clusterfuck, I'd like to point out. A hilarious clusterfuck, but a clusterfuck nonetheless.
But this time, your goal is to kill the other wizards. It's not just an accident.
Oh.
In quotations, accident.
I was going to say, wasn't that the point of Magica?
And here Todd demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding on the goal of the game.
Yeah.
Ethan and I have a new plan.
You kill the Joe.
No. Well, maybe, but not really. Not directly. But we have a new strategy on how we're going to play the game.
Collateral damage.
I haven't been informed of their new strategy yet.
Nor will you be.
This sounds disastrous, and I cannot wait to watch. All right, before we jump into the news, and this is not just this week's news, but apparently the last several weeks' worth of news, this is as good as time as any for me to remind you that HammerCast is brought to you by the Hammer gaming community. We're an adults-only group of gamers from across North America and Europe that play all sorts of games together. Hammer's been around since 2007, originating as an MMO guild and expanding into a full community with our own forum, our own Minecraft server, and the podcast you're listening to or watching right now. You can check us out at hammergaming.com. Yeah, like that.
Itch.com.
So we're going to lead off with the biggest news of the last 3 weeks. Nintendo Global CEO and President Satoru Iwata died this week of bile duct complications at the age of 55. Damn, that's young. Iwata came up through the ranks as a developer at Nintendo. One of his crowning achievements was the ability to completely reprogram the second generation of Pokemon games in 2 weeks because the original team at Game Freak could not get it to fit onto a 2 megabyte cartridge. He rewrote the entire game and got all of their map to fit so well that they had enough space to put in the entire map from the first generation Pokemon games as well. He eventually made his way into the executive team and became Nintendo's 4th CEO. This is a company that's been around for over 100 years, and it's only had 4 CEOs, which is kind of remarkable. The entire gaming industry poured out their condolences and mourned the loss of this great man to our industry. Did you guys have anything to remark on?
I had some sushi in his honor. It was delicious.
Well, I did notice that he was very adamant on not laying off people when their sales were down, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to the employees now that he's gone. Will the next president change his mind and start laying off employees and move more into the mobile gaming thing? Because that was another thing that he was opposed to, was switching to mobile gaming.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. That actually brings up another interesting story that when
actually,
Nintendo
before we move on, 100 years? Nintendo's been around for 100 years?
They started off as a playing card company in the late 19th century.
I had no idea. Never knew that.
But after the release of the Wii U, when Nintendo's financials started to tank, instead of laying off workers, Iwata took a 50% pay cut so that everybody could stay on and continue working at the company, which was pretty awesome. Also, speaking of Nintendo, the upcoming Super Mario Maker game for the Wii U, we saw this demonstrated at E3 during the Nintendo World Championships with those fiendishly brutal Super Mario levels. People have expressed concerns about it requiring an online connection in order to exchange created maps with other people. Nintendo's gone ahead and claimed that Super Mario Maker will be coming out with 100 pre-made courses already on disc, and you will not require an online connection to play through them. So even if you have crappy internet, no internet, spotty internet, you will still get value for your money out of Super Mario Maker, which is pretty cool.
Okay, I'm getting a little spent, I guess. I'll put it nicely, about people bitching about things needing internet connectivity. Everything fucking has internet connectivity for pizza. You can go and buy a goddamn refrigerator that has internet connectivity. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't show porn on it. It doesn't do anything even remotely useful. It doesn't even tell you what's inside the damn thing. But you can hook it up to the internet so it shows you the fucking weather. Everything connects to the internet. Get over it, people. That's all.
Internet's pretty much a necessity at this point. I can't see not having internet nowadays. I mean, I'm sure some people don't have internet, but they're probably not also the people who are playing games.
I mean, I'd like to point out that we drove from Massachusetts to Seattle down Route 90 and never once lost internet connectivity. Never.
What you pay for that privilege, though, Todd?
We streamed Spotify on my cell phone. Actually, it was on Ethan's cell phone. The whole trip, non-stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you do pay something for that privilege.
Right. So, you just paid $300 or $400 for a fucking console, for Pete's sakes. Get some goddamn internet access, you cheap motherfucker.
I just want to say that the guy cutting the hedges or whatever outside is back.
Yeah, I hear him too.
The sworn enemy of the HammerCast podcast.
Yes.
The guy cutting the hedges outside.
Maybe someday we'll have a proper studio.
Maybe. One day. Let's see. Next up, we've got Bungie in the news. The Taken King Collector's Edition content will now be available separately from the Collector's Edition bundle. So that's a good thing. A lot of people were bitching about that.
Because people like to bitch.
Yeah, true. Well, here's the thing. It was an $80 purchase for the Collector's Edition items. Well, we talked about this last episode. People would have to buy both the core game plus the first two expansions in order to get at the third expansion plus the Collector's Edition content. And people who already owned the first game were like, well, can I just buy the third expansion as a Collector's Edition and just get the shit I don't already have? And Bungie's making that available to them.
I mean, that sort of makes sense. I get that. It's still a little different than the Guild Wars thing that we talked about last time, but it's kind of in the same ballpark.
Right. So the Taken King standalone by itself is going to be $40. And if you tack on a $20 upgrade charge to that, so $60, you will get all of the stuff in the digital collector's edition. So that's something of a solution for those people out there playing Destiny and who want to get in on all of the awesome swag. Also from Bungie, they're marking their first year of being online this coming September, and it wants to give players who are around for year one a chance to show off the fact that they were here before everyone else. This past July 7th was Bungie Day, and they announced that they were going to, let's see, what is this? The collection of Moments of Triumph. Destiny accomplishments ranging from completing the main story campaign to something ridiculously difficult like defeating endgame bosses and stuff like that. If you complete every one of the 10 Moments of Triumph, you will unlock exclusive gear that is only available to you, and it must be done by September 9th, which will be the end of Destiny's first year online. This is kind of neat. I mean, some of it is really hard to do, particularly the hard mode raids, but if you do pull it off, you can have stuff that no one else has and probably will never have.
But is it stuff that's going to give you an advantage over other people?
It's all cosmetics, stuff like shaders that changes the color of your gear, and emblems that no one else will be able to have. Emblems basically display next to your character name whenever you're listed in things like leaderboards and stuff like that. So if you have an exclusive emblem, like for instance, when the big earthquake happened in Kathmandu, Nepal, back in this spring, Bungie sold a special t-shirt to anybody who wanted to get in and buy one. And if you bought one, 100% of the proceeds would go towards earthquake relief aid, and you would get a special shader and emblem to display on your Guardian. So just to show that, you gave and what have you. My son and I each got the t-shirt, so we're going to have that later, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm all for rewarding players who've been playing their game for a long time. I have no problem with cosmetic stuff to show that you've been playing the game for a while. I've always liked that kind of... Though there isn't really that much in WoW that does that, is there?
Not really, aside from titles that you get from feats of strength, which prove that you've been there forever and a day.
Right, but they've kind of diminished those. Like the PvP titles used to, for a long time, be something to show, look, I've been playing since vanilla and I did PvP during then. So having the, Stone Guard so-and-so name showed that you were playing during vanilla, but then they added back in all of the PvP titles. And
Right. Although I would argue they're harder to get now than they were originally.
But you can get them now. They're no longer a nostalgic looking thing. It's It's back to just being an accomplishment.
Right. Let's see. Speaking of waiting forever, Star Citizen's first-person shooter module has been indefinitely delayed. That's bad. That's really, really bad. Did you guys get a chance to take a look at this article?
Well, okay, so here's what you got to do to process this properly, is bend over and attempt to stick a full 2-liter soda bottle up your ass, because that's how hard Chris Roberts is reaming us right now. He's sitting on $80 million of our money. It was just, and he was quiet in this whole, we're going to tell everybody complete openness on the development process and all this kind of shit. And he hasn't said a word for 2 months about this. People have been asking, he's been completely silent. No one has said a word. And now he drops this little bomb. So, I'm a little pissed. I'm a backer. I'm a monthly backer. I give the money every month to try to make this thing happen. And I'm thinking of pulling that support. It's getting a little frustrating that he's not delivering.
I have been getting emails of progress to it. Like on the 11th, they had a list of, bugs that they've worked out, bugs that they're still working on. They have voting on what kind of UI you're gonna have in it. But I thought they were still giving you updates on the progress of it.
Well, I think they're giving you updates on things like that, but the first-person shooter module was supposed to be out right after PAX East, and he hasn't, other than him saying in March that there was a slight delay and it was going to take a few extra weeks, he hasn't said a word, and now we're months later, and he's saying, it's all fucked up, I don't know. It's going to take forever.
Well, that's what I mean. The first-person shooter, they've been giving updates on its progress.
Yeah, but it's still not playable.
No. They don't have an ETA on when that's going to be going live because reasons.
Reasons, yes. 80 million of them.
I have to ask, because there's no way none of us saw any of these things coming. The amount of stuff they promised, both in the Kickstarter campaign and afterward when they started to expand the scope of what they wanted to deliver, had to set off some warning bells for people that this is going to take a lot longer than your average game development cycle. This is going to be fraught with setbacks before they deliver anything close to the totality of what they promised.
I still say it's a 50-50 chance he's going to burn through this money and not deliver.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So $80 million, $85 million, did you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a ton of money from the Kickstarter, but if you look at other games that kind of top the list of development costs, you've got like Grand Theft Auto 4 was at $100 million. Grand Theft Auto... Oh, sorry.
But let me slow you down for a second. They also include marketing costs in that.
No, they didn't. That was
stuff.
Before marketing. $100 million was the development. I don't know. I just read something about it today.
Maybe. I don't know. You got to look at, those are big studios that are notorious at wasting money and doing all that kind of stuff. But they're also making it for multiple platforms and all that kind of stuff, where Star Citizen is, a little more close in that sense. Yeah, PC only.
No, that's true.
I don't know, man. I've been saying it since day one that I think that this is bound to fail. I want it to succeed more than anything. I think,
which is why you're a backer.
Exactly, and I want it to work. But at some point, I'm going to have to cut my losses and move on with life and get that soda bottle.
Just to put some things in perspective here, you mentioned cross-platform games and how they tend to drive up the cost. Here's a single-platform game that is the 4th most expensive game ever made, according to GameSpot. Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO released back in 2011, had an 800-person team that took 6 years to burn through $200 million to make that MMO. Now, granted, that also includes marketing costs. So...
That is not a $200 million game. It's not a bad game, don't get me wrong, but it's not a $200 million game.
Which is probably why it ended up going free to play.
I heard a lot of their cost was just licensing for Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't doubt it.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in 2009 cost about $50 million to develop and had another $200 million in launch and marketing costs. That's obscene. But now you know exactly why it's a global franchise.
That's a lot of bro dudes.
I'm going to have to start looking into the sources of these videos that I watch. Because there was a video that went up today of the 5 most expensive. And those numbers just don't even match up. Like the numbers they gave don't match up with what you just said.
Huh. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, send me the link to that, and we'll go ahead and put both in the show notes, and we'll see what we can find.
I think people make this shit up.
I think so, too. It is Rooster Teeth, so... I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows how well sourced they are? Let's see. Batman Arkham Knight. We talked last episode about how that was a complete shit show on the PC. Well, Warner Brothers and Rocksteady felt the same way. They suspended sales of the PC port of Arkham Knight 2 weeks ago now. And they're probably not going to start reselling it until late fall. So that's amusing / depressing for people who wanted to play on their PC. Here's the big kicker. Apparently, Warner Brothers knew it was a shit show before it shipped.
Really?
And shipped it anyway.
I'm sorry. Who's surprised here?
Yeah.
Not this guy.
I went to the Steam store to look at it, and it says for sale fall 2015. So that's my source on when it's going to release. So, I mean, that's probably their optimistic fall 2015.
Is it wrong that I find it utterly amusing when things just completely crash and burn like this? It's hilarious.
Well, the only other choices are to either not care or get upset. And it's so much more fun to just laugh a little bit. Here's something that'll make you laugh. So, Gator Machete Jr., I'm pretty sure that's not his real name, attempted to pre-order a copy of Fallout 4 from Bethesda by sending them his 7.5-year-old collection of actual bottle caps.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, but the coolest part is that since he was the first one to do it, since this had the virtue of never having been tried, Bethesda's going to make good on it. Mm-hmm. They're going to give this guy a pre-order of Fallout 4 that he paid for in tons and tons of bottle caps.
I heard that they're being inundated with bottle caps now.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Because there are some people who have huge collections of bottle caps. When I was in college, I used to keep vats of bottle caps for no apparent reason. We got rid of them when we moved.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. You got it.
Didn't the company post that their office smelled like beer now?
Yes, they did. And
sounds
I
like
am
my
not
office.
surprised.
Never mind.
Wow.
I don't drink while working.
You day drunk.
Hey, it's okay here. It's allowed.
Yeah, you can be a day drunk in Seattle.
Yes,
Is that how it
it's
works?
a thing. We go to brunch
Also,
and get hammered.
That sounds kind of fun, actually. Speaking of Fallout, the Fallout Shelter game on mobile devices will be launching on Android apparently sometime this August. So,
Android suckers.
line freeze, you can cheer up now. You'll have something to play next month.
Next month.
I wouldn't want to play it on my phone, though. I'd want to play it on my tablet, which is Android. I wouldn't want to play it even if I had a phone that could run it.
If you've got one of the bigger phones, like it runs pretty well on the iPhone 6, and I imagine if you had one of the bigger Android phones, but I repeat myself, if you had one of the bigger Android phones, it would run just fine. But yeah, on an iPhone 4 with that 4-inch display, or actually it's 3.5-inch display, isn't it?
It's not even how it would run, it's just the screen would be too small to really...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
The screen dimensions are just, the touch targets suck.
Yeah, Joe, your phone in particular would melt itself through your desk.
Probably.
Which would be fun to watch.
No, it's my
or
house.
Or explode.
Okay, so do it outside. Melt its way to the core of the earth.
Knock yourself out.
Right.
They say we're going to have a super earthquake here and it's going to kill everybody anyways.
Don't they say that like every other day?
Yeah, pretty much.
It was 2012 last time, right? Now it's the end of 2016 or something. I can't remember.
The Australian government has banned 4 times as many video games in the last 4 months than it has in the previous 20 years. Their Attorney General Department confirms that they've banned 220 games from Hotline Miami on down and refusing classification in Australia since March 2015. They only banned 50 games in the previous 20 years. That's redonkulous.
How to keep the criminals complacent.
I just want to read off. I found a list that I can share with the the names of some of the games that they've banned, because I couldn't find a clear. They gave some big examples, but Chicken 2.0, the adult sex game, was one of them.
Sounds legit.
Let me see if I can find another one real quick. Hobo Simulator was banned. Heroin Hero, which was
Heroin Hero. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Is that the Breaking Bad video game?
No, that's the South Park video game.
Oh my god. Heroin Hero is a South Park game.
Yeah, you have to chase the dragon.
Wanna get high?
Joint Adventure.
Are you sure these aren't just indie Seattle titles? I mean,
Marijuana's Game.
I mean, they had a thing in there like Rule 409 or Question 409 was, does the game use bodily fluids or flatulence for humorous purposes?
Yeah.
Dude, I'd be banned in Australia.
Exactly. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's hilarious. I mean, I hope the people push back, but they probably won't. They're all a bunch of dumbasses.
Naked Scanner Pro free edition.
And now we've lost our one Australian listener. Thanks. Bye.
Tell the other criminals I said hi.
Pass the Grass.
Yes, they love it when you call them criminals.
Know, isn't it great?
Pika LOL was banned.
What does that even mean?
Pika LOL? I don't know.
I think someone should make an iPhone app because it has an accelerator. No, it'd probably be better for the watch because it has an accelerator in it, right?
Yes, it does.
Like Masturbation Hero.
Isn't that just like the workout tracker?
Well, it could be, but it would tell you if your cadence is good, if your stroke is good, and how long you last.
You have to hit targets and
right,
stuff.
Exactly. Put it up on TV, and it's like on porn. I think there's a huge market for this. I think I'm going to have to pitch this to someone.
Or a tent.
Oh, I see what you did there. You're witty today.
Yeah.
Still not attractive, but witty.
Must be a blue moon. PewDiePie. Everybody loves PewDiePie, right? PewDiePie raked in 7 million smackaroos last year.
Yeah. I'm
that's all I need to
embarrassed
say
for
about
humankind.
I don't have anything against the guy, and if he's making $7 million a year, then, more power to him. But I don't know. I mean, we were talking about this before the show, and I don't think any of us know a single human being who watches PewDiePie. It's got to be a generational thing.
I don't know what it is. If it's a generational thing, then I'm really, really concerned for the next generation of children. I mean, I already was, but now it's even worse.
You realize that the generation before us was really, really concerned about us too, right? And I won't say we're doing well, but we're not fucking things up too bad.
I don't know.
So while I don't like his videos at all, I find them incredibly annoying. I do hear that he donates a lot of his money to charities. So
that's awesome.
There's that.
That's always commendable.
If I had that kind of money, I would like give money to make games like Hobo Wars
or
Masturbation Hero.
You absolutely would.
Yeah, why not? I'm just going to do things purely for my amusement. If other people get joy out of it, good for you.
All right, if this ever happens to you, Todd, we have to make a deal right now.
Okay.
You can never call yourself an angel investor because you are a devil investor.
Yes, that's a new thing. I'd be the most evilest investor ever.
Yeah, like the stock market, only it's just you. Mojang, speaking of people making ridiculous amounts of money, Mojang has shut down their, was it a card game? I believe it was a card game called Scrolls.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it was a platformer, wasn't it?
No, it was
They made some other game that was a platformer. Did that never actually make
Cobalt?
it out? Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, Cobalt made its way out. I think Mojang was just the, I think they were just the publishers for that. But their card game / turn-based tactical RPG Scrolls will shut down on July 1st of next year. So you've got a little less than a year to get your Scrolls on before the game goes offline for good.
This is the beginning of the gutting.
You think?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, Microsoft isn't going to keep that studio going. I really don't think so. They
got what they wanted?
They got what they wanted. They're already moving Minecraft into, the Visual Studio platform and all that kind of stuff. It's all C# now, I think, in the next big release they're going to do. And I think it's just a matter of time before Mojang goes away. Now, they sound like they're going to kind of keep supporting mods, although it's hard to tell in what fashion. The early stuff they've announced is only stuff like, changing blocks and names and things like that. So I don't know how extensive that's going to be. I'm hoping it keeps growing, though.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, I'm not a Microsoft platform developer, but I've heard good things about what you can do with C# and Visual Studio. So if nothing else, this might actually make mod development a lot more sane for those folks brave enough to do it. So fingers crossed that the mod community and mod support keep getting that love. No more scrolls. Valve will no longer restore items lost to Steam trading scams. Previously, if you tried to put up your Team Fortress 2 hat for X amount of dollars and you gave it up and didn't get what you wanted, or somebody deliberately misplaced a decimal point like they so often do in EVE Online, you could go ahead and fuss to Valve, and Valve would refund you the item you lost or the currency you lost or what have you. No longer. You are responsible for looking out for yourself on Steam's trading service. How do we feel about this?
Well, I mean, we can't keep holding people's hands, for Pete's sakes. So if you get scammed, you get scammed. I kind of mixed feelings. I don't want people to get screwed, but if you're stupid enough to get screwed, then sorry. I mean, you kind of, a little bit of Darwinism there in the game world.
So,
Joe?
I think 99% of all the scams were Counter-Strike Global Offensive related. The reason
People still play that?
Yeah. Well, case unboxing has been this huge thing on YouTube, Twitch streaming. I look at the view counts on them, and they get more views than anything else, and people are just opening cases on YouTube videos now. And some of the items that you can get are worth more than the $400 cap that you can sell them for on the Steam market. People pay this amount, and there are people who dedicate themselves to being the middleman between deals, where they get sent both of the items and then they transfer them to their respective people. And they've got like this eBay reference thing where customers say that they were very professional and that they got the items that they were looking for. But this is also promoted sort of a scam system where people use the names of the really popular people, copy their profiles, make it look like they're them.
Right.
I mean, it can be figured out if you go to their page and you don't see the same comic. You have to find the real person, make sure that they're legitimate. But it's just to the point where they're constantly fixing people's scams. For Counter-Strike Global Offensive mostly is probably a bit of Team Fortress 2. And, and then the other ones are people clicking on links that they shouldn't be, or giving their account info to people who say that they're Steam admins or something. And I can see them not holding all Counter-Strike fans' hands every time they get scammed because they want to sell their items for more than they'll allow on the marketplace.
Right. Well, I guess the best advice we can give to folks on Steam trading in items is that if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Hearthstone is dropping another expansion this month. On July 22nd, they just recently dropped their, I believe, third expansion, Black Rock Mountain, which was a PvE-focused dungeon expansion. Let's see. Blizzard came out with the following message on July 1st. Champions are gathering from around the world to witness the next exciting thing Hearthstone has in store. News travels far and wide in search of brave new faces ready to answer the call to arms. Are you one of them? Muster for battle and mark July 22nd on your calendar. The next bit of news won't come by carrier pigeon. Thankfully, we have much better ways of communication now. Victory awaits. We don't know much else about this, although I would probably bet that this is going to be a PvP-focused expansion, since the first three went PvE, then PvP, then PvE again. I know, Todd, you're not playing Hearthstone anymore. Is your mom still playing Hearthstone?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it in a while. I didn't see her iPad last time I was there.
Ah. And Joe, you're not playing anymore, right?
No, not really. Though I did hear that they had some interesting events that happened with multiple. I don't know. I heard Gertie and Ishar, I think it was, talking about some cool events that they had going on that they were really having fun with, but I didn't really hear what it was.
I think it was the Tavern Brawl mode.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Which apparently is just utter complete madness. But
Is it? I haven't heard anyone who's actually played it. People are actually saying it was interesting?
yeah, we had Line Freeze over last week for the barbecue, and he said he really, really liked it. It's just balls out madness.
Balls out madness.
Yeah, you can take that one to the bank. Print that shit on t-shirts.
Okay.
Nintendo might not be known by many folks these days, but once upon a time, Nintendo and Sony were getting into bed together to make a next-generation console. This was back in the 90s. They wanted to make a CD-based Nintendo console with Sony's CD-ROM expertise called the Nintendo PlayStation. I'm going to say that again for you guys because I know how weird that sounds. The Nintendo PlayStation. 25 years ago, this was nearly a thing. Their partnership was not long for this world. They decided to go their separate ways, and Nintendo came out with their, I believe it was the N64, and Sony went on and took what they had from their CD-ROM expertise and made what became the Sony PlayStation. The rest is history. And speaking of history, someone has dug up one of the prototypes of the Nintendo PlayStation. This thing looks really, really odd. It's kind of like a cross between a Super Nintendo, a PlayStation 1, but with a Super Nintendo controller on it that says Sony PlayStation, but has the Super Nintendo logo on. I look at this thing and my mind just reels. Have you guys seen the pictures of this?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like it sat in someone's windowsill for 50 years.
Yeah, that's that, what is it, the bromides in the plastic or whatever the hell it is. It causes it to turn brown.
Yeah.
But
So
there's things you can
where
do to
in
clean
the
that up.
generational line was this supposed to exist?
This was after the Super Nintendo, but before the N64. So, let me see. Nintendo 64.
Now, Nintendo 64 was still cartridges, correct?
Correct. It was the last cartridge-based system from Nintendo.
Now, this thing looked like it had a CD drive. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
So that would have been interesting. That was still like on the really early days of CD-ROMs then.
Very much so.
It was going to be able to use cartridges and CDs, so...
Which was kind of neat for its day. So this was so the Super NES and the Sega Genesis were the fourth generation of home consoles, according to Wikipedia. And the N64 and the PlayStation 1 were fifth generation consoles. For reference, we're currently in the eighth generation of consoles with the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Wii U. So this partnership was happening in between the fourth and fifth generations. This would have been Nintendo's fifth generation console had their relationship with Sony not gone sour.
And maybe we would see Nintendo at the top of the list instead of PlayStation 4.
Yeah, possibly.
Nintendo PlayStation or something.
That would have been really odd.
Well, we wouldn't think of it as odd. It would just be normal at that point, if that happened.
Right. Speaking of odd, it's kind of odd that Sega's kind of down and out these days. At first, they were a console maker, and they got out of that business after the disaster with the Sega Saturn, and then they got into software and made all of their IP software for everybody else's consoles, and they started to suck at it.
Sega Saturn?
Yeah, the Sega Saturn was their, or not the Saturn, the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, yeah.
Was their last major console. But they started to suck, even with their own classic IPs like Sonic the Hedgehog and others. And it got to a point where the name Sonic the Hedgehog has become a joke in video game circles because they haven't been able to make a good one in decades. The new CEO for Sega has gone on record last week saying they realize they have betrayed the trust of the fans and they want to work hard to improve the quality of their games and reestablish themselves as a valuable brand. It's good that their heart's in the right place, but do we think they can come back from this?
I don't know.
I mean, if you ask a, average, I want to say 12 to 28 gamer who Sega is, do they know?
Nope.
To 28?
Yeah.
Maybe to 28, because Joe's 29 and he knows Sega. So I'm
grew
saying
up with
anything
Sega.
under, 24 or 23, I think they're going to be a little hard-pressed to understand.
Yeah.
Then again,
Yeah,
they
they're
also
not-
don't really understand what a cartridge console was at the same time. So
True.
they never knew days without a CD-ROM of some sort.
Right. And we're very rapidly getting to the point where you don't even have to go out and buy a disc to get your game anymore.
We really
We've
don't
got Steam
need to
on PC.
anymore.
Well, it depends on the platform. I mean, these consoles are coming with 500 gigs of storage, but even after filling them up with a bunch of games these days, it still fills up really quick.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. I don't think we're too far away from the whole streaming game thing.
Where they just kind of slipstream it onto your console, or are they streaming you the video and you stream them the control inputs?
Yeah, pretty much.
I've got to imagine the latency on that's gonna suck.
The
At
internet
first-
and that kind of connectivity is getting better and better every day.
those
Speeds
of
around
you
the
with
country
250
are
down.
getting better and better. I mean, you're not in a
Totes
Comcast
250.
land, but even Comcast is talking about rolling out fiber in several of their markets. So I mean, I think that there's going to start being competition in that world. Where you are in the country in Western Massachusetts, Verizon has given up. They don't. It's bad
don't
out
care.
there, right? They just don't care. So you're stuck with Comcast or Charter. I don't think there's any
Right.
Time Warner left in Western Mass now. So you're kind of stuck with those guys. And I hear even with Charter now, you can get over 100 megabits without any problem, and it works good. I know that Comcast is up. I think they offer 200 in Western Mass.
Damn, I just have to move to a Comcast town, which is part of the bullshit, these municipal contracts. But anyway, that's a different topic for a different show. Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a rhythm-based roguelike game. Think of a combination between Dance Dance Revolution and The Legend of Zelda, and you get a good idea for how this game plays. But it's been a huge hit on Linux, Mac, and Windows when it launched in April, and we saw it at PAX East, not this past year, but the year before, PAX East 2014. It was still in beta, and it looked great. And it will be coming to PS4 and PlayStation Vita sometime later. They have not given us a firm release date, but it is coming. So at some point, the four of us who own PlayStation Vitas will be able to play Crypt of the Necrodancer on the go.
Patta, 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 pon.
That you're not far off, only not side-scrolling. It's top-down and much more roguelike-y, but
I owned that game.
It's definitely... Yeah, you did own Patapon. I remember that.
I hated it.
Yeah, it's because you can't keep a rhythm, white boy.
Can't. It's true. I can't. I can't do it to save my life. If it was life or death, I need to keep rhythm on this button or the world explodes. We're all dead.
Do you know CPR?
I do.
No, you don't.
I'm
If you can't keep a
certified.
rhythm.
I know.
If you
but
can't keep a rhythm.
that's different. You only got to go for short periods of time. I don't know what the deal is. But
I've
I
heard
passed
that
my
about you.
CPR test several times.
Oh, well, okay. There you go.
I mean, doesn't necessarily mean I'll resuscitate you, but I know how.
But the dummy thinks you have rhythm, and that's all that counts.
Right. Looked a lot like a sex doll, but I don't know what the instructor used it for outside of the class.
Wow.
You put your mouth on it.
I think that's it. That's the show name right there. You put your mouth on it.
Yep. Winner.
Winner. Absolutely not. The Warcraft film is pretty much a finished film.
Has there been any
Apparently.
trailers or anything for this? I haven't seen anything.
They've been releasing a lot of stills,
Yeah, fuck
but I haven't
stills.
seen any trailers yet.
Stills don't give me a hard on about a movie.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know if there's any trailers out yet, but the film, not the game, or the world of, is scheduled for release next year on June 10th. So we've got nearly a year to wait before the Warcraft film. So they're going to be spending a year in post, which is odd. But apparently production has wrapped. Oh, no, I'm wrong. They're almost done with post. They say they have fewer than 10 visual effects shots left to insert into the film.
But it's
so
still
why are they going to let it sit for a year?
I don't know. He said
let it cure.
Well, he said until we can get it all together to release or something. It probably working with the studio, like with the producers or whatever.
For a marketing effort?
Yeah, maybe.
It's got Warcraft in the title. It doesn't need to be marketed. It's an instant hit. This movie can flop and still make like $75-80 million.
They still have tons of advertisements for World of Warcraft, Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Hearthstone ads on regular TV.
Really?
Mostly on Sci-Fi, but...
Okay, well, they know their audience.
Which, by the way, on a side note and a segue, not really a segue, but a side note, Sci-Fi is returning to its roots. If you haven't looked at their lineup lately, I highly recommend you do it.
Really?
Yeah, there's been some stuff that's been pretty good.
Have they fixed their horrible name yet?
No. But Dark Matter isn't bad, Killjoys isn't bad, Mr. Robot, well, that's USA, that's not Sci-Fi. Those are all decent summer shows on this year that are definitely worth watching. And all sci-fi-ish.
I'm sure there's some other ones that we just haven't found yet. Because they show a whole bunch of different shows, and I know I haven't seen all of them.
2 words. Sharknado.
2 other
3?
words.
Which one are they on?
Fuck off.
No, I'm not saying I like Sharknado. I'm saying this is my opinion of sci-fi. Until you said that was Sharknado.
I think they do that just for the sheer shock factor of it. They fully realize how ridiculous these films are.
Oh, of course
and
they do.
I think they're just doing it purely for the fun of it.
Well, their latest one, they actually have some big-name actors on it.
Their latest Sharknado film?
Yeah.
Yeah, because big actors sat there and saw the first one and went,
Right.
I want to do that. This looks awesome.
I want to make a really bad movie for the intention of it being a really bad movie.
You know what they're aiming for here? They're aiming for, like, Army of Darkness level schluck. Or something. One of those movies where it's so bad it comes back around the other side and becomes good again. I've heard that about Sharknado, although I've yet to see it, and I'm sure I'll get yelled at on Twitter about that.
Wait. You haven't seen any Sharknado?
No, sir.
Okay, let me sum up one of my favorite parts of the first movie.
I hear there's a shark and tornadoes.
There are. But a woman goes into the water, and then another girl looks at her and goes, "Oh my God, is it that time of the month again?" And then the shark smells the blood in the water and eats her. It's all
that's terrible.
done. I mean, that's all you need to know about the movie. Everything else is gravy. Bloody, nasty gravy.
Okay, I've got one. When the woman falls out of a helicopter flying near the tornado and gets swallowed whole by a shark and is saved by somebody leaping into the mouth of the flying shark with a chainsaw and cutting from the inside out of the shark with both of them still alive after she's been inside the shark for a while.
It's true. I think that was like the closing scene.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to see this movie. I want to play this video game.
It's like Goat Simulator.
They took like
Only with sharks and tornadoes.
Exactly.
they took like compressed air and used them as bombs or something.
They do that in lots of movies, actually.
Okay.
Oh, you mean like that was actually
their
their plan? Yeah, they used like scuba
Yeah.
tanks or fire extinguishers or something.
Something.
Yeah, weren't they like strapping some dynamite to a fire extinguisher and throwing it out? I don't remember. There was all sorts of crazy shit going on.
What?
Making a fire
Okay,
extinguisher blow up is just
Focus. Last story for this week. We have Colossal Order talking about more content coming for Cities Skylines.
Yay.
They're talking about having a big expansion with both free and paid updates available, revealing at Gamescom.
take
Now,
my
let me pull up-
money.
Yes, shut up and take my
Wait,
money.
was it Gamescom or Gen Con?
Gamescom,
Okay.
which is coming up on August 5th. So we'll probably be away, but they'll be talking about their upcoming expansion to their gangbusters over 1 million copies sold city simulator that's taken the crown from the venerable SimCity. I still love playing City Skylines. I fire it up every now and then and just kind of, I have this huge city that I continually build out and try to fix problems in. I haven't started a new city in about a month or two, but I love this game. Do
I always
any
want
of
to
you
keep
find
blowing up
time to play?
cities. It's not that I want to like do the disasters and that kind of thing. It's like I build stuff and I go, oh, I hate that. I want to just tear it all down and start over.
No, see, if you can suppress that urge for long enough to the point where your city becomes financially self-sufficient and you're just printing money, then you've got the ability to just go back to like a district of the city you just hate and don't want to look at anymore. You can just rip it all out with the bulldozer and do it the way you want it to. That's what I've done in my city. I've had entire districts just leveled and redone.
I'm sure those people appreciate that.
Oh, well, you know what?
This game could really be a simulation where we're controlling other civilizations for real, and we are playing God. I'm just saying, man, we could be ruining people's lives.
I've always been convinced that in these city sims, the word mayor is simply their language's word for God.
God, yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't own the game.
What?
We need to fix that. You need to play some cities. And stream. You need to stream some cities. You would be fun to watch.
It's not called SimCity.
City
I
Skylines.
said cities. I didn't say SimCity. Who said SimCity?
He said some cities, not Sim City.
You need to stream some
I
cities.
might go back and listen to the raw audio.
I
do that.
streamed Sim City one time, and I was trying to make it a disaster, and the city ended up being very good.
Well, now you know what you have to do.
So I
Play
put
badly and win.
I put a few nuclear power plants in the center of town, in an area, and I made all of my town very uneducated. And I still couldn't get the power plants to blow
meltdown?
up. So
you made
I
Iran.
Amazing.
So I dropped a meteor on top of the power plant.
I bet that was effective.
That's going to be on your tombstone, Joe. I played poorly and still won.
Well, it's like masturbation. I mean, even doing it badly, it's still good.
Oh,
Just saying.
right.
I don't know. SimCity just felt really easy. It wasn't difficult to have a self-sustaining city.
Depends which one you're
Right.
talking about.
The
He's
layest
probably
SimCity.
talking about SimCity 5,
Oh, yeah, I don't
the
know.
one from 2013.
SimCity 2000 was the best one.
Yes, by far.
But it's pretty long in the tooth now.
Very. SimCity 3000 was pretty good, too. It was basically SimCity 2000 with a new coat of paint and a few new abilities. But they took out the arcologies, which I kind of missed.
Right, I love the arcologies.
Arcologies were so broken,
Yeah.
but they were so awesome.
They were totes awesome and totes broken.
Well, I guess that'll be it for this week. Thank you guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in. HammerGaming.com/HammerCast/20 is where you can find show notes for this episode. Joe, you're hiding, and I don't know why. We are at Hammer Gaming on Twitter. Follow us, and you can get updates on when new episodes are available, as well as other news from the Hammer Gaming community. Todd, where can people find you on Twitter?
Dregger, DREGG0R.
And Smiley Joe, where can people find you on Twitter?
At DazikLP, DAZIKLP.
And I am Valthonis, that's VALTHONIS on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. I usually say something here, something and fuck on.
It's thumbs down.
up.
All right,
Fuck.
thumbs
Thumbs
up
on
and fuck on.
There you go.
There you go. So his memory's getting so bad we have to remember his catchphrases for him.
Yeah.
My hell.